This is Karl Moore talking management for the Globe and Mail. Today I'm delighted to speak to Mortensen from INSEAD. You've been studying for a number of years now collaboration, and you're looking at how has it evolved and changed. What is some of your latest thinking?
Actually, we've been thinking a lot about teams. We've been studying teams, we've been thinking about teams, we've been using teams for quite a long time. There's a solid 50 years plus of very good, rigorous research done in labs, done in the field, talking to people, management practice, understanding everything we think we need to know about teams. And the nice thing is we've learned a tremendous amount. The problem is the teams that we've been studying in the past don't exactly match the teams that people are really using in practice. And this is what started coming up over and over. I would go into executive, teaching exec ed, and I would have discussions with the executives there. I would talk to some of our MBA students and ask all of them about their experiences. And they all said, well, it's all well and good, the stuff you guys talk about in the theory, but it's not really what happens. And basically we've been seeing really three big trends. The first trend is global work. Not a big surprise, but it's very, very hard to find a team, traditional team where everybody sits around a table, face to face, eye to eye, having these conversations. What happens much more frequently is I'm having a conversation, but you aren't there. Your video screen is there, but you're actually some 1,000 miles or kilometers away in some other part of the world. So the global piece throws a wrench into the way in which we think about teams. Also, people don't work on one team. There's this anachronistic model of, oh, here's your team. What is your team? And tell me about your team. Nobody works on one team. They work on 5, 6. I often play a sort of a game with my students. I ask them, raise your hand if you've had 4 or more teams or 4 or more managers at the same time. And then I say, okay, keep it up if it's been 5 or more, 6 or more, 7 or more, 8 or more. I got to 16 once. So people are more and more working in an environment where they don't work on one team, one project, one task. They work on a whole bunch, and they're constantly switching back and forth from one to the next to the next. Obviously, not the same as the teams we had, in days past. And then the third piece, not only are they globally dispersed, not only are they overlapping, they're not stable. This idea that I start in my company and I work on a team and I work with the same people for the next, 10 years or 20 years or my career, that clearly doesn't happen either. What happens now is it's not 10 years, it's not 5 years. In many cases, it's not 1 year, it's not even 6 months. I may be working with you on a project for the next 3 weeks, and then they decide, you know what, Karl, thank you so much for all of your expertise, your contributions. We're going to phase you out. We're going to bring in Sue over here who's got new expertise in a different domain. We finished product design, we're getting into marketing. We finished marketing, we're now getting into operations and production. These kinds of changes mean that the membership of the team is constantly changing. So we go from this model where all of our thinking, and it's not just our academic thinking, it's the way that people think about teams in practice. People are used to putting together a team with, whether they're conscious or not, a model in their head of a stable group of people working in the same location on one thing. And that just doesn't happen anymore.